And good afternoon and welcome back for another episode, our 74th episode of Thursdays with Charlie, the 28th of October, 2021. We've been doing this is the 74th time. Thank you for sticking with us and thank you for coming back each week. We're looking forward to many, many more times together. Just an update on our Christmas party for 2021. We've contracted with the Riverside for December the 10th. It's a Friday evening, 2021. It's going to be in the Starview Room. It's going to be the holiday buffet dinner featuring roast turkey, roast ham. It's going to have some salmon on it. And of course, there'll be stuffing and mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce and salad and vegetables and rolls and all sorts of things. And some interesting desserts, some cakes and some pies and even some sugar-free cookies will be there. We've decided that we will keep the price at $25 per person or a table of 10 for $250. The tickets will go on sale the weekend of November 7th and 8th. So that's a little more than 1 week from now. We're going to try to get some interest up in picking out the tables. So if you've got a group and you want to put together a table of 10, you buy all the tickets at once and then you give them out to the members of your group and they can pay you for them. But we're going to make the theme of this Christmas party the 50 states of our United States. So when you buy your table, you'll be able to choose which state you would like to sit at. Now, if the table's already taken, if that state is already taken, then you can keep choosing until you find a state that is not. So hopefully everyone will get to sit at their own state or a state close to it. So think of that when you're putting your group together. And think of that when you want to make plans for the evening. Do you want to sit at the Tennessee table, or do you want to sit at the Kentucky table, or the Arizona table, or whatever? The other thing would be if you're buying individual tickets and not putting a table together, then whatever tables that are not reserved for an individual group will be open tables for you to sit at. So you might end up sitting, for instance, with other people at the Delaware table or the Washington State table or things like that that may not have been chosen as individual tables. Whatever, think about it and try to get a group of 10 together. It's always fun to experience the Christmas party with a group of friends at the same table, and we look forward to it. Again, the date, December the 10th, Friday evening, 2021. A final thought on the Garces Center dedication, those gift boxes and photo albums. This will be the last weekend they're available. We are running out, and so we will take care of removing the list, the backlog of them this weekend. So they're $5 each or 3 for $10, and they'll be available at each of the masses as long as they last this weekend. Our Troop Christmas Stocking program, we mentioned last weekend at the masses that it will be limited this year because we're running into problems with places not wanting to accept the stockings due to the COVID fears. And so we are going to be preparing 100 stockings for the Veterans Home in Madison, Wisconsin, and we are going to be preparing 200 stockings for the USO at Las Vegas International Airport. We're going to collect items for those. The stockings going to the Veterans Home cannot contain anything edible, no food items. So we're going to be putting in things like tissue paper, notepads, pens, toothbrushes, things like that. The ones for the USO can have food items. So we're looking for receiving either donations of that type of item or donations of cash to take care of purchasing them. There will not be much expense for postage this year since we'll be able to drive the items to Las Vegas USO and we'll only have to ship the items to Wisconsin. Any monies donated for postage will be saved for next year. We have enough stockings for this year. Any additional stockings will be put aside for next year when we hope we'll be able to go back to a much, much larger troop program. Most likely we'll do the packing of these on Veterans Day, which is Thursday, November the 11th. We'll give you more details on the weekend before that, the weekend of the 7th and 8th, if we're going to be able to set up a packing thing. But if you're interested in packing stockings, you might want to keep some time available for Thursday, November the 11th. As I mentioned on Sunday also, our Colorado River Food Bank is looking for frozen pies to put out with their Thanksgiving baskets. So if you have access to or are willing to purchase 1 or 2 extra pies, frozen, bring them down to the Colorado River Food Bank during the week. They're open Monday through Friday, and you can drop it off. They're on Laughlin Civic Drive, just up the road from the riverside. They would be glad to receive them. As always, they're very, very grateful, and they do a lot of wonderful good for our community, both sides of the river and all the way up as far north as Searchlight. Nevada Day is tomorrow. Nevada Day is a wonderful state holiday here in Nevada. Coming from New Jersey, I've looked at this state with real wonder. It's the only state, as far as I can tell, in the Union that has continuously celebrated their entrance into the United States with parades and festivities, mostly centered up in Carson City, our capital. But it's kind of nice to know that Nevada is proud to be part of these United States. In 1864, on the 31st of October, we became the 36th state in the United States. So many of the festivities, like I said, are centered around Carson City. They are a little bit muted this year and last year because of the virus, but there's a vibrant interest in having them, and hopefully people will participate more and more in the coming years. The first thing I'd point out for Nevada Day this year is if you have some time and you have a computer, go and take a look at a website called Made in Nevada. If you just type that into your search engine, it'll bring it right up. Made in Nevada. And you'll be amazed at all the wonderful things that are produced right here in the state of Nevada. It's kind of interesting just to take about 20 minutes, a half an hour, and just look over the website and see there's jewelry, there's wine, there's preserves, there's artifacts, there's apparel, there's all sorts of things that are made right here in our state of Nevada. And so if you're interested in finding a unique gift perhaps to give to your friends elsewhere, you might find something made in a town or a location in Nevada that you're familiar with. And so check out the website Made in Nevada. It's worth your time. It's worth taking a look at. Now, as I mentioned, Nevada Day is a state holiday here in Nevada. It's not a federal holiday. It's a state holiday, so things like the post office and all will be open on the 29th rather. It used to be celebrated on the 31st, but by now it is celebrated as the last Friday in October, no matter what that date will be. This year, it's the 29th of October. So Nevada became a state in 1864. So this marks our 157th anniversary as a state. And as I said, I think we're the only state that celebrates our entry into the Union with some festivities, with some notable occurrences. We're proud of that. We're the driest state in the United States. Nevada as a whole has the record for being the state with the least amount of rain of all the United States. Our average rainfall is under an inch, and that's quite a lot lack of water for us. But we're used to it in our desert area. Nevada has more mountain ranges than any other state in the Union. There are 300 plus named groups of mountains in Nevada. And so we're more than any other state a mountainous state. Nevada is the 7th largest state in the United States. There are only 6 states larger in geographic area than we are. But 85% of Nevada is owned by the federal government. So even though we're the 7th largest, there is not a lot of private property around the state. Most of it, 85% of it, is owned by the federal government. The state flower is the sagebrush. Probably a beautiful plant right around us. You can go outside and notice it. If you're not familiar with sagebrush, it has beautiful floral blooms on it. The state bird is the mountain bluebird. We probably don't see many of them down here in Laughlin. It's more of a northern thing in Nevada, but it is a very beautiful bird. The state reptile, with which we are much more familiar, is the desert tortoise. They can live long, long lives, and they are huge animals. A couple of years ago on the Feast of St. Francis, we actually got to bless a huge desert tortoise. He was about a yard wide and long. He was absolutely wonderful. And they tend to be vegetarians, so we don't have to worry too much about what damage they might do, although they do have very, very powerful jaws. State song for Nevada is Home Means Nevada. Its full title, I guess, Home Means Nevada to Me. It's a beautiful song, kind of a sing-song melody, but very easy to listen to. If you get a chance and you want to listen to it, I believe it's available commercially, and you probably could get it even online. Home Means Nevada. It references a lot of beautiful places, so it will bring back all sorts of geographic memories in your mind of beautiful Nevada. Las Vegas, Nevada, which is only about 100 miles north of us, has more hotel rooms than any city on the planet of Earth. More hotel rooms in Las Vegas. There's one corner in Las Vegas that is particularly known for its hotel rooms, and that's the corner of the Las Vegas Strip and Flamingo Road. On that you have things like Harrah's and Bally's and Caesar's Palace and the Bellagio, all grouped around that corner. It's probably the most populous hotel corner anywhere in the world. Nevada also has more hot springs than any other state in our union. Again, there were more than 300 naturally occurring hot springs in Nevada. Most of them are far more northern than we are, but it's beautiful to think of 300 plus hot springs naturally occurring here. I find this statistic to be funny, but it's true. The ratio of bars to churches in Nevada is 7-1. For every church in Nevada, there are 7 bars. For every bar in Nevada, there is less than one church by far, only a small percentage. I don't know if that says anything about our state, but it certainly is an inclination to build more churches. In a letter to the Territorial Enterprise, a newspaper in northern Nevada, dated February the 3rd, 1863, Samuel Clemens, a young writer for the paper, signed his letter, "Yours dreamily, Mark Twain." That was the first written use of the pen name Mark Twain. Of course, Samuel Clemens, also known as Mark Twain and certainly famous as Mark Twain, went on with the stories of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, but his writing career with that name, Mark Twain, began in northern Nevada. 45% of all the tourists who visit Nevada come from California. Actually, I think we might soon be able to say that 45% of all people who move to Nevada have come from California. We're getting a lot of California residents who are packing up and moving east, moving into Nevada and Arizona as well. On the average, and this I find funny, about 230 wedding licenses are issued each day in Las Vegas. Now, they're not all used on that given day, but about 230 per day are issued. Kind of uniquely about Nevada wedding licenses, marriage licenses, there is no blood test required, so it's a bloodless marriage, and there's no waiting period, so that you could be married as soon as you receive the marriage license, and you receive it immediately after filling out the papers. They are valid, however, for a year. So if you got your marriage license, you can keep it for up to a year, and it would still be valid to use. That's kind of unique. Most other states have much shorter periods on the marriage license, some of them being only 10 days or 30 days, the period of a month. So Nevada is very, very liberal in the sense that the marriage license becomes valid immediately and that it lasts for a whole year. We all know that Nevada is nicknamed the Silver State. That's kind of a beautiful designation. But actually, it's the most famous, most productive state for gold in the United States. So it's the gold producing state, and it is the second largest producer of gold in the world, mining of gold in the world. The only place that provides more gold for the world than Nevada is South Africa. And so we're kind of unique. So I guess we could have been the gold state, but we'd be right next to California, which has the nickname the Golden State already. So we're going to keep the Silver State for us. Among Catholics in the little town of Austin, Nevada, there's St. Augustine's Church. It's the oldest church in Nevada, and it has kind of a unique feature. The rope for ringing the parish bells is in the men's room at the church. I don't think it was originally set up that way, but I think that's the way it has located now. The church is not actually used weekly, but it is still used for special occasions. There's a rumor, a kind of a strong rumor, that there's a small community of jaguars, kind of a cat-like beast, that live in the mountains around Laughlin, Nevada. I have never seen a jaguar down here, but the rumor is that there is about 12, 15 of them wandering in the mountains. Of course, we all know about the bighorn sheep that populate the mountains around Laughlin. I have never seen one of those, but I hear stories about them. And recently someone told me they saw a whole group of bighorn sheep gathered on Needles Highway right here in Laughlin. So they definitely are right around us. And of course, uniqueness in Laughlin, you have St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, the only place in the nation where you can go to Mass regularly in a casino, the Riverside Casino. We have our 4 p.m. Mass on Saturday there and our 10 and 12 p.m. a.m. Mass on Sunday in Don's Celebrity Theater at the Riverside. Kind of a neat, unique thing about our little place. And of course, those of you who will remember real recent history, on the 10th of October, the governor of Nevada and the bishop of the Diocese of Las Vegas dedicated the Garces Center right here at St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, becoming the first building in the Diocese of Las Vegas to be named in honor of the priest explorer Father Francisco Garces, who was the first European to ever set foot into what is now the state of Nevada. And he visited us here in what is now Laughlin, Nevada. Coming up this coming week, we have All Saints' Day on Monday, November the 1st. All Saints' Day honors all those who have died and have achieved eternal glory. We think of the canonized saints, and that's a wonderful category of people, but we can also think of family and friends who have died, that when their time of purification is over, if necessary, and so that whole idea of purgatory being a period of purification, when that's over, they achieve their eternal goal of spending eternity with God in heaven, the real paradise. So All Saints' Day honors not only the canonized saints, but many of our own relatives and friends who have died and gone before us. It's certainly wonderful to remember them on All Saints' Day. Look forward to that every year. Normally, All Saints' Day, November 1st, is a holy day of obligation, but about 30 years ago, the Church decided that if All Saints' Day falls on a Saturday or on a Monday, because of the proximity to Sunday and the relative shortage of priests in many, many areas, that it would not be a holy day of obligation. So we're only going to have the one Mass at 8 o'clock on Monday, as we normally do on Mondays here at the church. It'll be the Mass of All Saints' Day, but it is not a holy day of obligation. Of course, you're welcome to attend, and we would love to see you. Tuesday, November 2nd, is not a holy day of obligation. In fact, it never has been, but it certainly has a popular place in culture, in our Catholic culture and tradition. It's All Souls' Day. Once a year, we have a day on which we deliberately remember all those who have died among our families and our friends, all those who have perhaps been known to us, and so we mourn their passing, we mourn their death. And we will celebrate that as we traditionally do in a couple of ways. Once, in your envelope packets, there are envelopes in which you can write the names of your deceased relatives and friends, and we'll place them on the altar for the Masses of All Souls' Day, and in fact leave them on the altar at the church during the month of November. In those lists of names, you might want to remember grandparents, great-grandparents, friends, relatives, people you have known who have died, particularly those who have died within the past year, so that you would keep their memory alive for you. There's a custom of saying 3 Masses on All Souls' Day. It's an interesting custom because most priests say Mass every day. There's no requirement that you say Mass every day as a priest, but most priests, since we have the privilege of saying Mass, we do it every day. The normal thing would be you could binate, you could celebrate 2 Masses a day if it was needed. Well, now with the shortage of priests, sometimes priests are going to 3 Masses a day, as we do here, because I'm the only priest in Laughlin. So on Sundays in Laughlin, we have an 8, a 10, and a 12, and so I trinate every Sunday because of what they call pastoral necessity. If I didn't trinate, one of those Masses would disappear, and so we do it. But in 1915, Pope Benedict XV, this is 1915, he issued a letter giving priests permission to celebrate 3 Masses on All Souls' Day regularly. That this is every year on November 2nd, you have the unlimited permission to celebrate 3 Masses, not based on pastoral necessity, but based on the fact that we want as many people as possible to have the option of attending Mass, and you want to remember the number 3, always it signifies completeness. You want to pray for them completely. The only other day on which a priest is authorized without pastoral necessity to celebrate 3 Masses is Christmas. So in some way, All Souls' Day ranks up there with Christmas in the Church's idea of importance. What we're going to do here in our parish this year, it's kind of similar to what we've done in other years. We are going to do the traditional 3 Masses on Tuesday. We're going to do one at 8 o'clock in the morning, one at 8:30 in the morning, and one at 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, there's no requirement. It's not a holy day of obligation, but we hope that many people will come out and deliberately pray for their deceased relatives and friends. As we've done for the past couple of years, we will have a table set up near the statue of St. Joseph, not statue, the mosaic of St. Joseph, the patron of a happy death. And we ask people if you'd like to bring a small picture, no larger than 8 by 10, perhaps 4 by 6, or one of those smaller images, and place it on that table during the Mass that you're attending, and then take it home with you at the end of that Mass, so that there'll be plenty of room on the table for people to come with each succeeding Mass there. I'm going to have a picture of my mother there. Perhaps you have a relative or a friend or deceased parents or brothers or sisters that you would like to honor by placing their picture there, so that they're fresh in your mind and in your heart as you offer your prayers on All Souls Day for them. And also, if you're turning in the All Souls Day envelopes that we'd like to have on the altar for all the Masses of All Souls Day, November 2nd, we ask that you get them into us by Monday, November 1st. Perhaps even make sure you put them in the collection this weekend, so that they're in. We can have them packaged and placed neatly on the altar for all the Masses, All Souls Day, and throughout the rest of the month of November. It's kind of beautiful, I think, to remember those who have died. In many cultures, there's a remembrance of the dead, and that predates Christianity. We pray for those who have died, who have gone before us. In some cultures, it's a big festivity in many, many ways. In the Hispanic culture, particularly the Mexican part of that Hispanic culture, the Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, has a special place, and even involves certain foods and gatherings for meals. There's even some parts of the custom where you would gather for a picnic, if you will, in the cemeteries. We honor our dead. We honor those who have gone before us, and that's a beautiful thing. We should never forget those whose lives have come before ours. We build on them. And with that in mind, I want to close with a poem. I'm going to print this poem in the bulletin this weekend, and it comes not from the Catholic tradition, but from the Jewish tradition of remembrance for those who have gone before us. And the poem is called We Remember Them. It actually occurs in some Jewish prayer books, and we'd like to share it. I think it's a beautiful way of positioning the dead in our minds as we get ready to celebrate All Souls Day. Again, a copy of this is in your bulletin this weekend, so perhaps you might like to take it and enjoy it and share it for All Souls Day this year. And it goes like this. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the fall, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. We are lost and and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are a part of us as we remember them. I think that's a beautiful piece. We remember them. We should never forget those who have gone before us. November 2nd is a good day to remind us of that, but it's something that we should keep in our thoughts and hearts all year long. It's time for Pascal to join us. And as usual, our beautiful bird comes down with a message. And certainly appropriate for All Souls Day, Requiescant in pace. May they rest in peace. Beautiful Latin prayer for those who have gone before us. Everyone, I wish you a wonderful weekend, a very happy Halloween on the 31st, a happy Nevada Day tomorrow, and a wonderful All Saints Day on Monday and All Souls Day on Tuesday as we remember our deceased relatives and friends. God bless, and thanks for joining us.